Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm very happy to welcome you to this live session today. It's been a while. So this is very exciting. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Karoll and I am the founder of Parentally, and we are a platform dedicated to supporting the well-being of new and future parents. And we do so by facilitating access to informational support, community support, and professional support through our network of specialists, professionals who support parents throughout parenthood, so during pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and the first years of parenthood. Today we are going to talk about a very exciting and very promising topic, orgasmic birth. Thank you very much for joining us. And our guest today is Inbal Ziegler, and I will leave you the floor, Inbal, to maybe start by introducing yourself.
I will,
Yes.
thank you. And also, funny enough, the word orgasm or orgasmic, it comes from the Greek word orgasmus, which means excitement. So
Perfect.
yes, to begin with, I'm very excited to be here and for this opportunity to share what it is really about. A few words about myself. I'm a mother of three amazing boys. All of them were born here in the Netherlands. And what brought me to this theme, it's indeed this birth, because my first one was the complete opposite of being orgasmic, to say the least. And that made me question and go deeper and really explore what birth is and how it could be. And this journey led me to experience 2 consecutive orgasmic births, which we're going to talk about. So yes, my main interest is all related to this very meaningful rites of passage that we as women go through, from conception to pregnancy, birth, womanhood in general, and the sacred feminine. This is what I do.
Awesome. And I'm very grateful that you accepted to join us and do this session together today. And you've been one of the early supporters of Parentally, so I'm very thankful for that. Let's dive into the topic directly. So orgasmic birth, it's also known as ecstatic birth, like you explained. Can you explain what it is exactly and how it differs from, let's say, conventional birth?
You brought up already the term ecstatic, and it's a great point to begin with, because also from linguistic wise, from language perspective, ecstatic stands for external, stasis, state, meaning birth, like many other spiritual awakening human experiences, they are experiences that take place outside of the ordinary, outside of the everyday life. So when we speak about orgasmic ecstatic birth, this is also one layer to it. And I think that a lot of us, we carry, including myself, before I went deeper into that, we carry this misconception when it comes to orgasmic birth. We tend to think that it's related to an orgasm, like a sexual climax, and it's not wrong. It is related, it is embedded into the blueprint of birth, the code of birth. And I'm using this term because as much as birth is a very personal and unique experience that every woman will create an experience by herself and through herself, it also has a universal code. There's a template, there's a very specific landscape when it's being left uninterrupted, and when this code is being left to play out by itself, this incredible intelligence of the feminine body has the opportunity to show up and really to lead mother and baby in a very safe, in a very smooth, in a very straightforward and way to throughout the birth and to the actual emergence of the baby and the mother herself, because we are being born as a complete different identity through our pregnancy and birth. So of course, there is a connection between sexuality and birth. I see birth as an extension of our sexuality, because in the majority of cases, right, we came together, hopefully in a very passionate and engaged and intimate manner to conceive this child. And even if it's an assisted conception, there are many ways to make it intentional, and to base it with our love as well. And hopefully this is the form that most babies are being conceived. With that, there is all, when we speak about orgasm, most of us, we refer to the more short-lived, quick-rushed physical bliss that comes from a clitoral orgasm, which is beautiful as itself. But as we know, as female, as women, our sexuality and sexual structures and functions and potential is much more wider from that. We have also vaginal orgasm that comes, what is known as the G-spot, which is more emotional, which is more cleansing, energetic, interpersonal. And if we go deeper into the yoni, or higher, the top of the mountain orgasm, we have a cervical orgasm, which is more, it's more soulful, it's more spiritual, it's more ecstatic. It holds the qualities of oneness, of expansiveness. And during birth, what happens is that the cervix, the keeper of the womb, this organ that is placed really, really deep inside of us, and not only physically, it's, it's the entrance to the sanctum, to the womb. It's super sensitive and delicate and fragile, and it's also connected to the heart energetically. So when we are surrounded by conditions that project love and safety, and we feel trustful, not only in our surrounding, but first and foremost in ourselves, to let go and to be taken. Like really, I suggest to you and everyone who hears us now, take yourself on your mind to this ambience of making love, when we are really, we're engaged into it, and we forget the dishes in the sink, and we forget the to-do list, and we are completely engaged, right? And there's this spontaneous, intuitive, reflexive expression, flow. This is the orgasmic. But yeah.
No, I totally get that. And I think that's going to be my next question. But the truth is, when you hear something like this, it's very, it's kind of mysterious, because you do associate orgasm with the climax, and you wonder, because you don't really necessarily associate birth with sexual thoughts, so it's always a bit, it can be a bit, mysterious. And you wonder, is it a myth, or is it really reality? Like, does it really happen? And I was very curious to look if there was any kind of scientific research done, or study, or anything on this topic. So I did a little bit of research, and I think it's quite interesting to look into this. There is a lot of online anecdotal literature about orgasmic birth, but there have been quite a few, I think, interesting things that I found. So the first one is the movie. Of course, I think maybe some people have heard about this movie called Orgasmic Birth,
By
the best kept secret. Yes, exactly. Absolutely, yes, and narrated by the great also Ina Megaskin. There was also a very interesting article published in the British Journal of Midwifery in 2021. which I recommend to read to anyone who is interested in this topic. And then also there was actually a survey done by a French psychologist, so the French, of course, always.
The expert in romance and passion and
Absolutely.
love.
It had to be a French guy. He contacted almost 1,000 midwives who had assisted together over 200,000 births. And just in a nutshell, the results of the survey was that 0.3% of the births that they had assisted were resulted in orgasmic birth. So this is the information I could find online, and yes, it exists. Not everyone will experience this, but it exists under the right conditions, like you said, in the right circumstances. And that is actually my next question. How do you prepare for orgasmic birth, or how can you, I don't know how to express this,
How can how can you
yes,
experience an orgasmic birth?
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Is it possible to prepare for this, and how?
of course. It is possible. And just to elaborate slightly more on what you brought up, the reason why it's still considered to be a myth or something that is reserved only to the women who birth around dolphins or have a chorus of angels accompanying their birth, the reason why it's still considered to be rare, it's because indeed the way birth is being manipulated, mistreated, pathologized, and abused by the current structures, which are because birth still takes place in the majority of cases in a hospital setting, which is, as we know, medical, clinical, bound to graphs and numbers. And it's a very masculine way to handle this very feminine, mysterious, unpredictable territory. There is such a contrast and such a conflict and such a distortion in relation to the basic conditions that a woman must have in order to experience indeed the pure, potent potential of birth. Because this is the thing. I'll tell you a story that is related, which happened a couple of weeks ago. Parallel to my work with parents and mothers and couples, I also work with birth professionals, midwives, obstetrician, doulas, etc., to make it available, this knowledge, this wisdom about orgasmic birth. And I had a conversation with the doula about it, and she said to me, the audience for orgasmic birth is too small. And on one hand, I thank her for that observation, because indeed it brings up to the surface, it shines light on a collective blind spot, because we all think, again, it's something that is excluded to a small percentage, as the evidence show. But on the other hand, it made me laugh a bit, because, as I said before, this is the essence of birth. This is the template of birth. Birth is designed to be a gate to humanity, both for the mother and both to the baby, for them to be welcomed in the utmost love and euphoria and reverence. It's truly la grande trance. You will say it will sound even better. And because when women, and we had this prior conversation before, you remember we were discussing maybe about feminism and birth. And now I'm going to bring the feminist perspective to it, because when a woman experiences birth on its full potential, and she does feel as if and every woman who gave birth in this way will tell you that we feel like a superwoman. We feel on the top of the world. Nothing can stop us. So there's a great power instilled into birth for many reasons. Also, for the main one is for us as mothers to be completely competent and resourced to take care of a tiny, precious human being that asks attention, love, resources 24/7, right? Every mother will tell you that. So if we experience birth in such a way that we emerge from it feeling on top of the world, imagine how, no one will dare to mess with women. So that's why I'm saying there's a lot of power and wisdom instilled into this gate, and this is also part of the reason why there are so many interests and forces and literally hands. Let's speak about the vaginal continuous examination that takes place where in our cervix, which is, again, as we said before, the most intimate, part of us. So this is why, to our question, why we don't hear more and more, but don't worry, I'm working on that, because I'm for a global planetary revolution about birth. I want every woman to own her power and to, really embody this experience. So that will happen.
That's really great.
And it happens, it becomes, there's a shift in the collective awareness. More and more people, are feeling called to that. Even if they don't know what it is, they are feeling drawn to that because it speaks truth. Yeah.
And you mentioned, I think, very rightfully so, that births are more and more medicalized, and it happens most of the time. Maybe not in the Netherlands, but yes, still in percentages, yes, in hospitals. And we were talking about the conditions to make orgasmic birth happen. So if I understand correctly, what is important, I think that's one of the discussions I've had most with doulas and other professionals enlisted on Parentally, is that birth ideally should be undisturbed. So you talk about the vaginal examination and all these kind of things. In your opinion, what are the best conditions for this orgasmic birth to happen?
First and foremost, the mother, as the key initiator of this entire experience, on her body, on her mind, on her heart and spirit, in my opinion, she is the main objective. She's on center stage, and her sense of readiness and primeness and this cultivation of trust in herself, in her baby, in her partner, but more to that, in life, and also in the divine, whatever it means to every person. And this allowing us to make a leap of faith, because as we are mothers to more than one kid. We know it. Every birth, doesn't matter what was our previous experience, it asks for a leap of faith, because, as said, the nature of this landscape is unknown, and it's completely chaotic. It's completely unpredictable, and we are afraid of the unknown. It's totally normal. It's a total human tendency. But there is a way, totally structured and practical, to tap into this reservoir of trust and confidence within ourselves. And this is why I'm a doula myself. Whenever a mother or a couple reach out to me, I always emphasize the importance. It's essential. First, take care of your own readiness, meaning check what is going on in your internal landscape. What are the fears? What are the conditionings? What are the beliefs? What are your ideas about birth? And let's start untangle them, because there's a lot of, we receive a lot of mental baggage from our family, friends, colleagues, etc. So really, if you would like me to go deeper into the readiness itself, what I do, of course, with pleasure. But it's a deep, profound process. It doesn't happen like this. It takes the time to acknowledge what it is, to process it, to integrate, and then to your specifically to your question, what I personally believe and do is actually address those layers in our human existence which are more subtle, meaning the spiritual, the emotional, the energetic, and the sexual layers, because they are about the physicality we know enough. We know about the drama and the pain and the contraction and the effort. Yes, it's there. But giving attention and priming mostly of our emotional body. Why? Because the cervix, which goes through massive transformation during birth, it's connected to the heart. So when a woman is able to open up and really receive this tsunami of love that wants to come in, you know, and it's all related, because when I say tsunami of love, it's also connected to the presence of oxytocin during birth, a hormone of love, connection, safety. There is literally a tsunami of love that wants to come and flush us, or to be generated from within and flush us. But most of us, we walk this earth not feeling loved for many reasons. This is a podcast to itself. We're not feeling safe in the presence of love. So imagine this tsunami that wants to come to you during birth, or from within, and we are like completely overwhelmed. We don't know what to do with that. So priming the emotional body prior to birth, opening a spiritual channel, because birth, yes, it's, you know, life, it's a union of polarities. It is physical, it is earthy, it is blood, tears, and sweat, but it's also divine and subtle, and there's a great sense of, like I said before, oneness and unity and fullness when our physical existence disappears. There's a dissolvement of the self, there's a dissolvement of our boundaries, and we unite with something so much bigger than us. Some will call it God, some will call it nature, life force, whatever. Yeah, there is this innate intelligence that is embedded within us, that this intelligence initiates and does all the work. And my perception of birth, you know, if you ask me one tip or practice, what you can do, it's all about mastering the art of doing nothing. We need to step out of the way and let this intelligence do its brilliancy. But we are so, you know, we are living in a masculine world, and also as women we adopt these qualities, and birth as a feminine territory, it asks for a complete set of qualities, skills, and virtues that are embedded in the feminine. But because again we operate in a structure that asks for different qualities, then if we're not if we haven't addressed and cultivated them prior, on the money time, on the birth itself, there will be a lot of friction, resistance, and therefore an escalated pain. So to your question, addressing those more deeper or higher layers within ourselves, they are the one to actually determine the physical manifestation, how we will perceive the intensity, the pain of birth, and also understanding why the pain, of the purpose, the intention, everything, you know, there's an intention to that. So knowing how to work with it and how to allow ourselves to be taken into the flow, and slowly, imagine what a bliss it is, Karoll, for a couple of hours or even couple of days to be in a freaking trip. Birth is a trip. It's a liminal state. It's a shamanic journey. Call it whatever you want. It's the best high you know, in the world, naturally wise. So yeah, knowing this and knowing how to let this exquisite hormonal cocktail, yeah, that does all the difference.
And this is very beautiful. I think you touched two very important things: the love, and also that's the fact that the same hormones and the same, of course, organs that are involved in birth and in love making.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same. There is a real parallel to do between love making, where you need the right atmosphere, the right conditions, and being in labor in your bubble and getting ready, you know, to reach this state where you are ready to give birth. And it really echoes. So you are a certified hypnobirthing instructor, as well as a doula and many other things. And this really like echoes what I've learned in hypnobirthing, that, you know, it's also a matter of perception. The pain, you will of course perceive pain, but it's serving a purpose. And as long as you know, understand this, then you understand why you are feeling these things and everything. And you were talking about the bubble and the zone and the trip. And my next question is about the people around you, your partner, your team. What is the role they can play in, you know, I'll say this, facilitate maybe orgasmic birth, or giving you the right, you know, support to make it happen, or do nothing? I don't know.
Mastering the art of doing nothing.
Yeah.
As the premise. Well, you know, same as making love, most of us, it's a very personal
Yeah.
choice, but they will choose to spend this time in the intimacy of themselves and their partner. Of course, because from the dawn of times, women gave birth actually in the company of other women. Usually there was another person there. I mean, because it's very reassuring. I'm all for that. I always say, you know, choose your midwife or doula or obstetrician. You know, choose a person that you're feeling comfortable, so comfortable with, that you could be able to make love in their presence, because this is the level of vulnerability, intimacy, and exposure that birth takes us into. So the making the choice of care provider is crucial, because if you will not feel comfortable in their presence, you will literally close yourself up and you will not open up. So this is after, you know, if we look at the mother, baby, and partner as this holy trinity, as the core of the event, then the next layer would be a very precise choice of a care provider. There, like we said before, in the majority of cases, best would be to live the experience undisturbed and uninterrupted, like literally. And this is where the partner steps in, because they serve as a layer of protection, you know.
Yes.
So they're the one, if there's any need to communicate, they are the one who are free to do so. Mothers are best to be left to themselves, because a brief 101 birth physiology, which I wish for more care providers, especially in a hospital setting, to be aware of, is the importance of leaving mothers to themselves, because the secretion of this hormonal cocktail that provides altered state of consciousness, that provides this redrawing from the everyday and stepping deep into ourselves, into the zone, or you know, many of us, we describe it as, I went somewhere else, I was high, I was stoned. And I see it, you know, we go into this very internal landscape within ourselves, very, very, very deep. So what supports this secretion of cocktail is the reduction of activity of the neocortex. So every time you ask a mother a question, you pull her from her concentration. So the partners, they serve as buffers, as protectors, as advocates, and also for them to be to be aware of what is this spiritual journey, what is this liminal journey that the mother is going through, so they know themselves also not to interrupt it. Because we all have, again, this very human tendency to help, to rescue, to support, to assist. But this, in my opinion, also going back to the feminism, it also perpetuates this idea of women as being helpless and not being able to go through that. But we are, and birth and pregnancy are great vehicles in terms of self-discovery and sovereignty and ownership. And again, this is also the reason why it's been so mistreated and manipulated, because this world doesn't want women who are capable, women who are competent, women who are strong, women who will not deal with patriarchy.
Yes, I'm doing this. I'm nodding because I'm like, yes, 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 absolutely, 100 times yes. But yes, thank you very much. And that's important to know, because as a partner, you really feel like, exactly like you said, you want to do things, you want to, be helpful. And sometimes partners can feel like they are completely helpless if they are not doing something for the birthing person. But it's nice. And I think it's important to know that also doing nothing and just being this buffer can really be helpful.
If I may, I'd like to add to that,
Yes.
that it's the ability to do nothing and to witness your woman goes through this transformation.
Yes.
It only comes when the father or partner themselves, they prepared and primed themselves as pillar of trust and confidence that the woman can lean onto. So this is why I see it's so important for the couple as a unit to go through this process of acknowledgement, understanding, and embodying these qualities, because then what is left to happen is literally the miracle of create. You are able to witness the act of creation in the making. So it also involves a sense of readiness from the partner themselves.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Inbal, for sharing this with you. And we are almost nearing the end of this discussion. But I would like you to give us maybe what would be your golden tip for expectant mothers and their partner.
I would say,
It's a hard
it's
question.
quite hard. Yeah, it's a hard
No.
question. One tip, but I think it's something that we brought up in the conversation before, that more and more people are awakened. More and more people feel that there is more to that the truth lies elsewhere, not only in what we receive from all around, and also from immediate circle, because people have their own experience which they love to share, especially the bad and negative and traumatizing ones. But if anyone feels that there is more to it, they don't know, but they feel like there has to be another way, because it doesn't make sense that birth should be that traumatic experience. I warmly recommend to follow this calling and do some research, just to open up themselves to what is there. And I'm sure, when this is there, the path unfolds step by step, and they will get to the right sources of information and to make it happen.
Yes.
To make it happen based, because they feel the need to own their own experience and to own their life. Yeah.
That's a beautiful advice. It's a very, very good one. You made it. Yeah, I would like to wrap it up just very shortly. What I understand and what I take away from this discussion really is that under the right circumstances, women can experience some sort of maybe not orgasm, maybe yes, in some cases, yes, definitely, but some sort of ecstasy. And yes, it's not a guarantee, but it's a possibility. But I think it's really, really, really important to hear these stories. And maybe even if orgasmic birth is a big word, it's important to know that yes, birth can be painful, but it's not only that. Like, women can also definitely experience joy and bliss and maybe even pleasure. And I feel what we see most of the time is like, yeah, birth is going to be painful and etc., etc. But there is another
Karoll,
story to that too. Yep.
You brought an interesting point, which I like to address really in a couple of sentences, because orgasmic birth doesn't mean that pain is not part of
Absolutely,
the experience.
yes.
Birth as a capsule of life, it encompasses all faces and facets of human experience, and pain and struggle and challenge and hardship and effort and desperation are all part of it, and they are all encapsulated into birth. The thing is to know, like in real life, for me, birth is real life, but it's all about how we face it. And going back to birth, once there's the understanding, skills, and abilities to transmute the sensations of pain, and also to minimize the conflict and friction and resistance that we talked about before, then indeed pain shape shifts into a different expression. But there's so much to be said about it. But I felt that it is important to highlight that, because it's not about the pleasure, the ecstasy, the orgasm, as in sexual orgasm, clitoral.
Exactly. But I think it was pretty clear. And thank you very much for clarifying a bit further. But yes, thank you so much for this session. I think it was really valuable and really interesting, opening new horizons also for many people, I guess. Let's end this session maybe about, I see a comment, how do we deal, that's it, birth equals real life. How do we deal with life is how we give birth. So beautiful. Yes, that's very true. Exactly.
Nushka, which we know each other, and had herself a beautiful orgasmic birth. I don't know, how was your second, darling? We will get in touch with that separately from the podcast.
Awesome. Where can you tell us a bit more about your services and how you support expectant parents?
Well, there is my center in Amsterdam, in the Pipe. It is called FM.
Yeah.
Beautiful as well, she said. So within my center, this is where I meet parents in person, physically, in all services related to conscious conception. So how to bring this beautiful love and unity already before. And of course, all the programs related to birth readiness. And so either there physically in the space or online, and also everything which is related to womanhood and to the sacred feminine, and continuing elevating and celebrating mothers on truly the goddesses that we are,
Lovely. I we could have another session on the sacred feminine, but we don't have
Yeah,
enough
maybe
time.
we will. Why not?
But thank you very much, Inbol, and thank you to everyone who followed this session. Of course, it's been recorded, so I'm going to share it on our YouTube channel. Please do subscribe and follow us for more awesome lives like this. Thank you so much, Inbol, for this session together. It was really, really great.
With great
I appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Pleasure and orgasms, Karoll.
Awesome. And thank you, everyone. I wish you all a very beautiful day, sunny day, and see you soon for another live. Goodbye. Bye.